Today we're going to start on Kuf Yud 110, towards the bottom. It says Achen Av Nechlin and Manchilin. It's about 9 lines up from the bottom. Thank Hashem.
2 dots.
2 dots. Yeah, Kuf Yud Amid Beis 110b. Thank Hashem that we're able to learn Torah every day. And in this festival learning, we should have the base of English.
Amen.
Learning the Nishmas of a Golden Bus. Have a Golden Bus. We're in the same boat. No coffee. Golden Bus, Baruch Binyamin, and Gedalia, and Nasanals have been seen. And for Shleima, for Avram, Sarah, and for how's he doing? I saw him here.
He's moving today.
Very nice. Should be well. Thank you. Oh yeah, meat and wine. Okay, so we quote from the Mishnah. It says, "Va'achin mina'av leichlin manchilin." Brothers with the same father, they inherit and bequeath to one another. Remember what bequeath means? Yeah, it's inherits over, right? Inherit is to take and bequeath is to give. So they'll give to each other. Minalan. And where do we know this? How do we, the Gemara's question is, where do we know that it's brothers only from the father? Maybe brothers from, you get brothers from the father. For example, Reuven and Yosef had the same father. They didn't have the same mother, because Reuven's mother was Leah, and Yosef's mother was Rachel. So they'll inherit, but not brothers from the same mother. That would mean that if it's a good example of a woman that married to. We have an example in Tanakh, a woman that had two husbands.
Husband.
Well, different. No, I need children. A woman that had two husbands. I don't know, like let's say Abigail was married to Naval, right? I don't know what her son's name was, but then she married David afterwards, right? So let's say two different husbands, but it's the same mother. So they do not inherit one through another. Bathsheba may mean that she was 7. Anyway. So we know. How do we know that we only follow the fathers, the paternal brothers, and not maternal brothers? Rabba says, "Asya achva achva b'nei Yaakov." We learn it from the brotherhood of the sons of Yaakov. Malahalon av le'menaim, afkan av le'menaim. So what happened was we have 2 sources. Let me just mute over here.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I shower.
it says, that the inheritance goes to the brother, that we have by inheritance. And the pasuk in Bereshit says, there are 12 brothers, your servants are 12 brothers, the son of one man. It says, Bnei Ish Echad, says the Rashbam quotes the pasuk. So why is it telling Bnei Ish Echad? It's coming to tell me that brotherhood comes from the son, when they're the sons of the same father. So the Gemara says, Lamali, why do you need that source? It says from his family and inherited. It's Mishpach Zavkri, Mishpach Zeh, Menakri Mishpacha. The father's family we had yesterday. We said that only the father's family is called the family. The mother's family is not called the family. Why do we need the source from Yaakov? We know already that it's the father's family that's the family. Says Enochanami. You're right. Where was it? The statement of Rabbah, Le'inyan Yibam Itmar, that was said regarding Yibam. Means not by inheritance. By inheritance, it goes to the family. And the family we know is only the father's family. But when we say Yibam, that means that the brother marries his sister-in-law of his, the widow of his deceased brother. That can only be a brother from the father, not a brother from the mother. Where do we learn that from? That we learn from Yaakov. Okay. Gonna need a chumash in a few minutes, but yeah.
Wow. So they have to be paternal brothers.
Yeah, paternal brothers. Now we have paternal brothers for inheritance and paternal brothers for Yibam. Okay.
And if it's a maternal, like what is that considered? Is
Nothing.
that still a brother? Nothing.
Nothing, not for these halachas.
A family picture.
Yeah.
Family picture.
Sometimes.
Okay. At the very end of the book of Bamidbar, Hashem speaks to Moshe. Moshe speaks to the Jewish people. Moshe commands the children of Israel with God's word, saying they had a concern that inheritance is going to move from one tribe to another. So Moshe speaks to the command of the children of Israel with God's word, saying, "The tribe of Joseph's descendants speak well. This is what God has commanded regarding Tzlafchad's daughters. Let them marry whom they wish, but they may marry only within the family of their father's tribe. Thus, the inheritance of the children of Israel will not be transferred from tribe to tribe, as each person from the children of Israel will remain attached to the inheritance of his father's tribe. Every girl from the children of Israel's tribe who inherits property, because her father had no sons, should marry a member of her father's tribe, so that each of the children of Israel will inherit the property of his fathers. No inheritance will be transferred from one tribe to another tribe. For each person of the tribes of the children of Israel will remain bound to his own inheritance. Tzlafchad's daughters did what God had commanded Moses." Okay. They married into the families of descendants of Menashe, Joseph's sons.
So
Now,
is that a mitzvah? Is that one of the
only for the first
615?
generation. No, I think mitzvahs that were only for specific times are not counted in the 613.
So these l'chatchila were not destined for more than that one generation.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in quoting in this verse, it says, "V'chol bas yireshes nachala mimatis b'nei Yisrael," which means every girl from the children of Israel's tribes who inherits property. She should be the wife of someone from her own tribe. So now the Gemara quotes like this: that a man inherits his mother. How do we know that a man inherits his mother? Maybe a man inherits his father and the daughter should inherit the mother. Let's say the mother has independent property, right? We know Hanimili. How do we know this? That the man inherits from the mother, maybe the daughter should inherit from the mother. Tana Rabbanan was taught in a brisa. The brisa quotes the pasuk that I just read to you. And every daughter that inherits that an inheritance from the tribes of Israel. It says mimatais b'nei Yisrael, from the tribes. How does a daughter inherit from tribes? How does a girl inherit from two tribes?
Two husbands.
If she doesn't inherit from the husband. The husband inherits from her.
No, but it looks still sharing.
Yeah, joint bank account. If she has no brothers, she would inherit from the father. Okay, let's take a look at this. It must be. We have a woman that her father's from one tribe and her mother is from another tribe. Umesu, and they both died. Yerashtan, and she inherits them. How did she inherit them? Because there were no brothers. And so I know that a girl can inherit from her mother. So far, we're saying that a girl will inherit from the mother. And now we have a concern that when she's going to get married, she's going to be transferring the property from her mother's tribe over to her husband's tribe. And her children are going to end up with property from a different tribe. Because it came from, actually, we don't have to, the husband already will inherit. Okay. When they do Yibum, it's two brothers, right? And the child inherits. Yeah. Why not? Yeah. No, the wife doesn't matter in inheritance. It goes from the father. So, Vainly Elabas, I only know right now, I know that a daughter inherits from her mother. Because how did she end up with the property from two tribes? Because of her mother. Then Minayin, how do we know that a son will inherit from the mother? Doesn't have to do with the daughter, right? If it's a son will also inherit from the mother. Amrit kal v'chomer. So we say like this. We're looking for the source that a son inherits from the mother and not the daughter. Well, we know that the daughter could inherit. Amrit kal v'chomer, we have a kal v'chomer. Ma bas shehura keicha b'nechseyav. When it comes to the father's property, the daughter is second class. The son inherits first. If there's a son, the daughter gets nothing. Right? The son inherits first. That's when it comes to the father's property. So it goes like this. When it comes to the father's property, the daughter is weaker. The son gets first. However, when it comes to the mother's property, we see that she does get an inheritance. We don't say if she splits it, but we know that she gets an inheritance. How do we know she gets an inheritance? Because the verse said that she's inheriting from two tribes. How does a girl inherit from two tribes? It must be that she gets her father's and her mother's. How does she get her father's? Well, there were no sons. How does she get her mother's? We didn't discuss. But maybe we're thinking that maybe she splits it with the mother, right? Okay. So if a daughter that's weaker when it comes to the father's, inheritance, but nevertheless gets from the mother's inheritance, then when it comes to a son, that he takes precedence. When it comes to the father's inheritance, he gets first. For sure he should have strength when it comes to the mother's inheritance.
So if the father passes away, it goes to the sons first before the wife.
Yeah.
That's always on that.
You see what we did here? We said we made a kal v'chomer that if a son is able to inherit, if a daughter that doesn't inherit from the father, but the son does, so when it comes to the mother, where the daughter inherits from the mother, so for sure the son should inherit. Okay, now we're not saying that the son inherits everything. Maybe he only inherits half. Now we say Mimakim Shabbasim, Allah ben Kaidon Labas Hafkan, ben Kaidon Labas. Now we do a comparison. We say, 1 second. We say if how we started this is that the son inherits from the father. And he inherits before the daughter, he inherits everything. So too, he should inherit everything from the mother. Now, that's a little problematic because the way the Kal V'chomer is set up is that I'm learning the daughter's inheritance from the mother from that, I'm going to learn to the son's inheritance from the mother. Now, the daughter's inheritance from the mother, the daughter's inheritance from the mother, we thought was being shared. We didn't know that the son, that it's only because there's no sons there. We didn't come onto that. We just thought that was being shared. So we'll take that over to the son's inheritance from the mother. Maybe that's also shared, but we're not doing that. We're going a step further. We're saying that the son's inheritance from the mother is going to be entirely, like, it's not going to share it with the sisters, which means that we have a problem of daya levam and adin lias kenidin, that you're making a kal v'chaimer that's stronger than where you started from, right? A kal v'chaimer is supposed to work like this: that if a strong person, if a weak person can lift 20 pounds, so a strong person can for sure lift 20 pounds, right? Not if a weak person can lift 20 pounds, then a strong person can lift 30 pounds. With that you can't. It's further. That's more than what you started with. It can only go as far as that's your limit.
It's the same comparison. The father passes away, and the sons get full portion. Let's say you had one son get full portion.
Right. Let's say it's the
Same
son
is
and
true
the
of
daughter.
mother. Yeah, so if the mother passes away, then
Gets
sons would
the
get
inheritance.
same amount.
Everything. Okay. Now
It's the same with the mother.
that's fine, but the way we got this was with the kal v'chaimer, and we
Right.
didn't know yet. When we're learning this, that we know that a daughter inherits from the mother. We don't know that it's only because there were absolutely no sons there. We know that the
Oh, we
daughter
don't know
gets
that.
an inheritance from the mother.
Oh,
So maybe from the mother they split it. Now we're going to learn that if a son that has strength over the father, by the father's inheritance, is going to inherit from the mother, so you should for sure have strength, right? He said, but a strength equal to the daughter.
Is that what you read? The pasuk that that daughters do inherit?
So, yeah, the daughter can inherit from both tribes.
Even if she has a brother.
So 1 second. We know from earlier sources that if she has a brother, she doesn't inherit from the father. So, but from the mother, we didn't have that. So now we say Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Elazar bar Rabbi Yossi, Amru Mishum Rabbi Zechariah ben Akatzov. Father's closer too.
The father inherits the mother. So like if she inherits the father, she has no brothers.
Yeah, but let's say there's no father.
What wouldn't it puts her if she remarried? Mother remarried, then the husband is the one that inherits her. No?
Well, the son, the daughter can inherit from the mother. There's no father.
If she is a widow.
Yeah. So where does the inheritance go? Right, the husband inherits, right? Then it becomes his property. So yeah, she inherits. Definitely, if there's no brothers, she inherits, right? And if the father's alive, then she doesn't inherit because the father will take the property. The father passed away, so she inherits from her mother's property, and she inherits from her father's property. No, no, it doesn't go to the mother. It goes to the children. Yeah, the wife doesn't inherit the husband. Children inherit.
Yeah, she just lives off the land.
Right.
And
Right.
Just no children.
No children. I think it goes back to his brother, back to his father and his brothers.
So then they never, if she never inherits from her mother, it goes from the father. And then if the father passes, it goes to the kids.
The father passed away first.
So it goes to the kids.
Goes to the kids.
She never inherits.
No, the mother, she is inheriting from her mother because the father passed away first. The sons, you mean? The sons, so it goes to the daughter. Not to the mother. No, the mother inherited. She was an only child, so she inherited from her parents, right? Now she's getting married, so now the daughter is going to inherit that property from her. Yeah, you're asking how did the mother herself have property? She was an only child. She had property.
Did the daughters take precedence over the wife? Yeah. The wife never.
Yeah.
The father passed away.
The wife. Okay, so now these two sages, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Yossi, they say in the name of Rabbi Zechariah ben Akatzav. It says, "Echad ben v'echad abbas shaven b'nechseim." He holds that sons and daughters are equal when it comes to the mother's property. Not like the first opinion. The first opinion said that the sons inherit more than the daughters in the mother's property. Sons inherit everything if they're sons. Rabbi Zechariah ben Akatzav says that they split it. Sons and daughters split the mother's property. It's only the father's property that the sons take precedent. My time, what's the reason for Rabbi Zechariah ben Akatzav? Easy. Because the Kal V'chomer, you're taking from the Kal V'chomer more than where you started from. You're taking it that the sons should inherit everything, and we only started that the daughters get an inheritance from the mother. So for sure the sons should get inheritance from the mother, but not more than that. Not that they should take everything. They should split it. The Tanakama like Darish Dayai. What's with the Tanakama? They don't have Dayai. They don't say that you can't make a Kal V'chomer where the outcome is not allowed to be more than where you start with. So it says Vadai Daraiso, but that law. It comes from the Torah. The Tanya was taught in a brisa. Midin Kal V'chomer Ketzar. How does it was taught in this brisa? This is the beginning of the Teres Kainim, where we have the brisa of Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel turn the desks over there. After it lists the 13, it then goes to explain them. So when it explains the Kal V'chomer, it says, how does that work? It says, Vayemer Hashem el Moshe. This is when Miriam spoke Lashon Hara. It says, Hashem says to Moshe, Vavia Yarak b'fanea. Her father would spit in her face. Would she not be ashamed for 7 days? So Kal V'chomer l'shchina arba aser. So Kal V'chomer, if the shchina shames her, so for sure she should be ashamed for 14 days, right? Her father shames her at 7. The shchina shames her should be even more. It should be 14. Now, the Gemara says, but we don't say that. Miriam was only had saras for 7 days, not for 14 days. Well, come sit next to your father. I'm not this time. I'm gonna move over there. Okay.
No, yeah.
My lawyer.
Yeah. Oh boy, I miss her billing. The meter on right now.
You're being recorded.
Dr. Stein's here.
So we see that we have a Torah source for Dayai, that because it's only 7 days that Miriam had saras, but after that she was fine, right? She got healed. The association.
So we do say there,
that she was only shamed for 7 days.
Right.
The association between the Yud Gimel Midas Arachamim and the Yud Gimel Midas Shatain Justice. The first one is Kal V'chomer, right? And the first one of the Yud Gimel Midas is Kel. That's Moshe's tefillah is Kel Na Rafanala. That's Kel. And not Hashem is an introduction to the 13th. That's the Kabbalistic, that's the Rizal interpretation. But anyway, okay. So So the Gemara has to explain how could the first opinion say that the son inherits everything from the mother when that's going against the rules of diet. It says Balmadar's diet. Really, they do learn diet. But B'shani Hachadam Akram Matais. Here they have Gzera Shava. Makish Mata Ha'im Lamata Av. Ma Mata Av Ben Kaidon Labas. Av Matim Ben Kaidon Labas. They have two things over here. There's a Kalvachaimer, and then there's a Gzera Shava. Are we calling this a Gzera Shava? The Hekesh. The Hekesh. The Hekesh goes like this. It's a comparison. Comparison between the father's property to the mother's property. It says that a daughter that inherits from her father is going to pass the property over to the other tribe. So it says she inherits from tribes. A daughter that inherits from tribes. How does a daughter inherit from tribes? It says because she inherits her mother's tribe and her father's tribe. So the fact that it has the tribes in the same word, mother's tribe and father's tribe in the same word, matois, that's a comparison between the two tribes. What's the comparison between the two tribes? That just like the father's tribe, the son inherits and he leaves the daughters out. So too, when it comes to the mother's tribe, the son inherits and he leaves the daughters out. So in other words, there's a hekesh, there's a comparison that I don't need to use a kal v'chomer to get this law. The kal v'chomer getting this law would be problematic because I'd be stuck with daya, and I wouldn't know that the son inherits everything. Okay.
Are there rules about a hakesh like there are rules about a kal v'chomer?
The kal v'chomer I think is easier than a hekesh because I think
Right.
you can do on your own, and a hekesh probably has to be with the tradition.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Welcome,
You're welcome.
welcome, Naftali.
Did you tell Yitzi that we need him for this
Yeah.
parak? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to have to start billing everybody, and ethically, I would have to bill all of you. So
You don't need them as servant for complicated.
No, I don't think so. I think the kal v'chomer is like an exception to that because it's purely logical. Okay, awesome. Well, now the Gemara is going to go through this machlokes between the Tanakama and Rabbi Zechariah ben Akatzav. If the sons inherit everything from the mother's property, or if they split it with the daughter. Rabbi Zechariah ben Akatzav said they split it with the daughter, and the Tanakama says the sons inherit everything from the mother's property. Well, it goes now like this. Rab Nitai, who's a name that we're not so familiar with, is Naitar Bailey. He was way earlier. Savil Mevedov, the Rab Zechariah ben Akatzav. He wanted to pass like Rab Zechariah ben Akatzav that the sons and daughters should split the mother's property. Amalei Shmuel says, "Come on, who are you passing like? Because Zechariah, you're going like Zechariah. Office with Zechariah. He's not nullified. We don't. He's nil. No, but yeah. The office kesef, right? Office. Office means zero. He doesn't count. Rav Tavla of the Rab Zechariah ben Akatzav. This is Rav Tavla actually paskin like Rab Zechariah ben Akatzav. He split the property between the sons and the daughters. Amalei Rav Nachman, my high. He says Rav Nachman says to Rav Tavla, "What's going on?" Amalei Rav Chinena Bashalmei Mishmei Rav Alach Rab Zechariah ben Akatzav. Well, Rav, who I heard he says this in the name from Rav Chinena Bashalmei, says that you paskin like Rab Zechariah ben Akatzav. Amalei Zila Hadabach. You better retract. You lie, and if you don't, I'll take Rav Chinena Bashalmei out of your ears, which apparently means that he was going to put him into cherem, or it means that he was going to make him pay for the loss of money to the sons. Rav Nachman was telling Rav Tavla that if he's going to rule like that, he's going to have to pay the excommunicator is going to have to pay the inheritors what they lost. When a judge makes a mistake, sometimes he needs to, depending on how serious the mistake is, sometimes he needs to pay the judge himself has to pay the litigants what they lost. Yeah.
why are we learning about Zechariah has been beat up? Why they bring this?
I don't know. Well, we're discussing the daughter inheriting together with the son.
I feel like, I don't.
Where did we have Reb Zechariah ben Akatzev? Where else did we have him?
I'll make it up. Erevin 32.
Remember, we had him somewhere else. Do a search. Should I check Erevin? No, but can you search Reb Zechariah? Search Zechariah ben Akatzev on Sefaria and see where it comes up. Besides for Baba Basra Kufir Aleph.
Woo!
Can you search in
Says he
Hebrew?
divorced his wife
Oh yeah?
because he was stringent with regard to the ordinance of stages in the matter of priesthood.
That would sound like a Yavamas
Yes.
Gemara.
He was in some hatred.
Okay, Saita. Read me the lines for that. Oh, okay.
No. The Ksubas. I'm having a cut of Ma'on is there. Lozaza Yada. The Yodi. His house, he never let go of it. It's in Edios.
Okay. Okay. So, Amalei, okay. Rav Huna Bar Chia, several members of the Reb Zechariah ben Akatzev. Rav Huna Bar Chia wanted to pass like Reb Zechariah ben Akatzev to split the property between the son and the daughters. Amalei Rav Nachman, my high. Rav Nachman says, "What's going on?" Amalei, Rav Huna, Rav Huna said in the name of Rav. Where is it?
So
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Rav Huna says in the name of Rav, Halacha Reb Zechariah ben Akatzev. That halacha is like Reb Zechariah ben Akatzev. Amalei Ashalach lei. Rav Nachman says, "Okay, I'm gonna send him. I'm gonna go ask him. I'm gonna ask him if he really said that." Ichsif. So Rav Huna Bar Chia, here you follow Rav Moshe. He said that Rav Huna Bar Chia says he was gonna pass like Reb Zechariah ben Akatzev. Rav Nachman says, "Why are you doing this?" He said, "Because Rav Huna says in the name of Rav that's the halacha." So Rav Nachman says, "Okay, I'm gonna send him a letter. I'm gonna find out." So he gets all embarrassed.
yeah.
Which means that either he didn't say that or maybe he said it, but it wasn't 100% clear. So Amalei, right? Amalei hashta kinach nafshe de Rav Huna. It's just the kabli. He says if Rav Huna would have passed away, then you would have been. Then I would have had to accept it. What does the word isris mean? Isra is recess.
Recess. You would have been raised.
Brazen.
Brazen.
Brazen. The kabli before me. Brazen. That was a good guess. Okay.
Same time.
The EU, and what does Rav Nachman hold? How does Rav Nachman so sure about this? Come on, Savra. Who does he hold? Like he held the Rabbi Shmuel. He holds like Rav and Shmuel. Darmi Tavai. They both said, "Ein alach Reb Zechariah ben Akatzev." Now we knew that Shmuel said that, but now the Gemara is telling us that Rav also said that. Mistamach Basil Rabbi Yanai Akaspe de Reb Smaloi Shame. Rabbi Yanai, is Rabbi Yanai the teacher of Rabbi Yochanan? That
Yes.
Rabbi Yanai was walking and he was leaning on Reb Smaloi. Do you have Reb Smaloi next to Rabbi Yochanan? Okay. Anyway, he's leaning on Reb Smaloi on his shamish, Reb Smaloi, and they're walking. Basi Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya Lapai. Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya is coming towards him. Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya is the grandson of Rabbi.
Mentioned that he was very elderly and nearly blind.
Oh, okay. It says he was elderly and nearly blind. Yeah, that's the Rashbam. Rashbam says Rabbi Yanai was elderly. So Rabbi Nasi is coming towards him. Amalei bar inish the asal kiblana says that the person that's coming towards us, hu yai v'gulsa yai, he's very handsome and his garment is handsome.
So
Well, kimat legabe, when he comes closer, gashasha, he feels it. Amalei, he says, Dain Shire Kasak. This is a cheap material. He says this is the type of material that becomes tame like sackcloth, which is a different measurement than other ones. The Dalet Tvachim on Dalet Tvachim is basically material becomes tame when it's useful, when it becomes the size of a garment. But different materials have different sizes. The thicker the material, more coarse it was, the larger it needed to be useful. So it says, oh, this is like sack, which is like sackcloth. Well, boy mine, he asks of him, I think this is Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya, is asking from Rabbi Yanai. He says, how do you know that a son inherits the mother's property before the daughter's? In other words, inherits everything. How do you know that the son inherits everything from the mother? We know the son inherits from the father. We know the son inherits from the mother.
I thought it was
Because they only inherit when they're
From the father. How do you know from the mother? That's the same thing.
Because if it's a father, he's greater than the mother, therefore, for sure. That's
Okay, so we had a machlekes about this, right? We had the machlekes of Tanakam and Rabbi Chaim ben Akatzav. Is this a kal v'chaimer or is this a hekesh? If it's a kal v'chaimer, then the sons inherit together with the daughter. If it's a hekesh, then the sons inherit without the daughters, right? So there's two approaches. This Amalei, so he responds right away. The ksiv matais. It says because of a hekesh, it's a comparison. It says in the pasuk, it says the tribes. Makesh matay lamatav. We compare the father's property to the mother's property. That's how it works by the fathers. Ma mataav ben kaidul labas. Just as the father's property, the son comes before the daughter. Mataim ben kaidul labas. So in the mother's property, the son comes before the daughter. Amalei, so Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya responds, says he mataav b'charnaitul pishnayim. When it comes to the father's property, if there's a firstborn, he inherits a double portion. It means if there's two sons, you have to divide it into three parts, and the older son gets two of them. Yeah, this older son gets two, and the younger son only gets one. So if that's the case for the father's property, also in the mother's property, the older son should get, the oldest son should get the double portion. Amar Leila Shame, so Rabbi Yanai says to Rab Shmala, he says to his the Shamish, the servant, he says, good, pull me away. Less Dain Savi Lamel. This person doesn't want to learn. He's just bothering me with questions. He's not a serious he's not serious. The time am I? Why was he so saying this?
answer the whole thing with the girls.
So what?
If the oldest gets double portion, doesn't mean that the boys inherit a little for the girls.
Oh, that he said before. That he said mates. That he answered. He said because the comparison to the son inheriting the father. He said, oh, if you're going to do the comparison, then take the comparison a step further. The comparison a step further means that the oldest son should inherit double. Okay.
But the same way that the younger boys will inherit a piece, the girls could also inherit a piece. If it doesn't.
No, he answered from mates. Mates means that there's a comparison between the father's property to the mother's property. Just as the father's property, the sons inherit and not the daughters. So to the mother's property, the sons inherit and not the daughters. That's the answer. Now, he says if that's the case, then just like the father's property, the oldest son gets a double portion. So let's take that over to the mother's property. In the mother's property, the oldest son should get a double portion. That's his question now. Rabbi Yanai says, you're not a serious person. You're asking such a question.
Oh, that's jackfruit, baby.
Okay. Beautiful.
That's how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. Show up, drop off some jackfruit, move on. Bam, bang, drop the mic.
Okay. Let's stay in Teva Mela. The time am I, and what's the reason why? Amar Abaya says, why is this so obvious that he's just like bothering with questions? Amar Abaya, Amar Kra. Abaya says, the pasuk says, B'chol asher yimatzilai. You see, when it comes to the double portion, it says everything that he has, the father has. Loi v'loi la. The Bechor gets a double portion and everything that the father has, but not in what the mother has. Everything that's to him, but not to her. Okay, so it's the double portion that only applies to the father's portion. The Gemara says, 1 second. Let's say, when does he not get from the mother? Hani mili bachar shenasa almana. That's only if a man marries a widow, and so therefore she may have had sons from someone else before, previous husband. It's not her firstborn. So that's why the son doesn't get the double portion from her, because the double portion from her should probably go to her firstborn, not to his. We're dealing with his firstborn. His firstborn only gets from him. But maybe if a man and woman get married, they were never married before. Maybe the firstborn of the man, it's also the firstborn of the woman, should take the double portion from his mother's portion, from his mother's inheritance as well. Inheritance from the mother, maybe should get the double portion of that. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, Nachman Yitzchak says, the first of his strength. It's only the first of his strength, not the first of her strength. Her strength doesn't matter. I mean, it's his first child, not her first child.
This is only the case if she didn't have any brothers. She inherited everything.
Yeah. That she has an
She's
inheritance. She has an
already has.
inheritance that's being bequeathed to the sons. The Gemara says, 1 second, that pasuk that says, Ainai. Yeah. 1 second. You can see it. Not for inheritance. Ahu, that pasuk.
If a son dies and father has no daughters, and after then the father dies, that the inheritance go to the child. Goes up.
It would go down. Goes down to the
Go-
grandchild.
go down. What if there's still
1 second. When the son, 1 second. This is complicated. That's a complicated question, because the order of who passes away first is going to make a difference. Hold that question for later.
What a question like that.
Says Ahu mibayile. We need that pasuk. If there were miscarriages or stillborns, so then those are not considered the firstborn regarding inheritance, even though they were the first to open the womb, right? First to leave the womb. For when it comes to Pidyon Aben, there's no firstborn here. When it comes to inheritance, it's only the one that the father is concerned about because it's alive. That's the one that's going to get the inheritance. The father doesn't have the worry about him, so it's not considered. He doesn't get the inheritance because he was born. It was a miscarriage. So we know that the inheritance goes after the first living child, and that we learn from Rashis Ainai, learn from the first of his strength. That's where we learn that from. So how can you tell me now that it's teaching me that it's only his inheritance and not her inheritance that gets a double portion? And Kinlei Makraki, Rashis Ain. My Ainai. Why does it say his inheritance could be first of strength? Why does it say his strength? Shmamina Tarti. It's coming to teach me 2 things. First of all, that the firstborn doesn't have to be the first that opened the womb. And second of all, the firstborn is only gets a double portion of his and not of hers, not of the mother's property. Maybe this is because he was married before. And so what we're saying here is that
He already had first child.
It's only her. If it's not his first, if it's not his first child, but it's her first child, so we don't follow her first child. We follow his first child. But let's say it's both of their first child, then maybe because it's his first, he should get the inheritance that the son that's the bechor for the father, that's actually the bechor to the father, should also get the double portion of the mother. But if it's his, but if the parents were never married before, then the firstborn is literally the firstborn of the father. He should also get the double portion of the mother. Achinami the shakel. Rava says no. Amakra leimishpat b'cher mishum b'cher leish leimishpat b'cher leisha. This concept of a firstborn is only when it comes to the father's inheritance and not to the mother's inheritance. So that was, this whole Gemara here was so obvious to Rav Yanai that he didn't even want to answer Rav Yehuda Nasiya regarding this. I guess that we should leave it over here.
This is angry Gemara today.
No, Rabbi, so even though it sounds like